Document. Laughed at for our junk. Humanity created a Dyson sphere. Part 1. In the year 2095, Earth was facing a big problem. The planet's energy needs were growing every day, but there wasn't enough power to keep up. Fossil fuels, like oil and coal, had been used up long ago, and renewable sources such as wind and solar energy weren't doing enough to help. People were worried about what would happen if they couldn't find a solution soon. Blackouts became common in cities, factories struggled to stay open, and life started to feel harder for everyone. At the same time, something else was becoming a bigger issue: space junk. For decades, humans had been sending satellites, rockets, and other machines into space. Many of these objects stopped working and were left floating around Earth's orbit. Over time, this junk built up, creating a dangerous cloud of metal and debris that no one knew how to clean up. Some people joked that humanity's greatest achievement in space wasn't exploration. It was garbage. One man, however, saw potential where others only saw problems. His name was Alan Carter. He was an astrophysicist who worked at a research lab in New York City. Alan wasn't famous or rich, but he had a sharp mind and a dream. He spent most of his days thinking about ways to solve Earth's energy crisis. One evening, while staring at pictures of space junk on his computer screen, an idea came to him. What if all that trash could be turned into something useful, something amazing? Alan began working on a plan. He imagined using the discarded materials in space to build a massive structure called a Dyson sphere. This sphere would surround the sun and capture its energy, giving Earth almost unlimited power. It sounded impossible, but Alan believed it could work. He spent weeks refining his calculations, checking and rechecking every detail. When he finally felt ready, he submitted his proposal to an international science conference. The conference took place in a large convention center in Manhattan. Scientists from all over the world gathered to share their ideas about solving Earth's energy problems. Alan stood nervously at the podium, adjusting his glasses as hundreds of eyes focused on him. He explained his concept step by step, showing diagrams of how the sphere would look and how it could be built using space junk. At first, the audience listened quietly, intrigued by the boldness of his vision. But then, someone laughed. It started with just one person, a man sitting near the back of the room. Soon, others joined in. Before long, the entire room erupted in laughter. Alan felt his face turn red as he tried to finish his presentation. When he mentioned using old satellite parts and broken rocket pieces, the laughter grew even louder. Someone shouted, "Why don't we just throw our trash cans into space too?" The comment made everyone laugh even harder. Dr. Laura Bennett, a well-known physicist, stood up after Alan finished speaking. She shook her head and said, "This is not a serious proposal. Building a Dyson sphere is already far beyond our capabilities, but suggesting we use space junk is absurd. It's childish fantasy, nothing more." Her words carried weight, and many people nodded in agreement. Reporters covering the event wrote headlines mocking Alan's idea, calling it things like Operation Junkyard Dream and Astrophysicist Tries to Turn Trash into Treasure. Feeling defeated, Alan left the conference early. He walked through the crowded streets of New York, ignoring the honking cars and bustling crowds. His heart felt heavy. All those months of hard work, all those calculations and sleepless nights had led to nothing but ridicule. Was he really wrong? Had he wasted his time chasing an impossible dream? When he got home, Alan slumped onto the couch and stared at the ceiling. That's when his phone buzzed. It was a message from Emily Dawson, his childhood friend. Emily was a robotics engineer who always supported Alan, even when his ideas seemed strange. She had watched the conference online and wanted to check on him. "Hey, don't let them get to you," she wrote. "Big ideas often sound crazy at first. Remember when people thought powered flight was impossible?" Alan smiled faintly. Emily had a way of making him feel better. They talked for hours that night, discussing ways to improve the plan and prove the skeptics wrong. By the end of the conversation, Alan felt a spark of hope returning. Maybe he wasn't alone in this after all. Over the next few weeks, Alan and Emily decided to take action. They reached out to friends and colleagues who might believe in their vision. Slowly, they found a small group of people willing to join them. There was Ryan, a former NASA technician who knew everything about spacecraft, Samantha, a young programmer with a passion for artificial intelligence, and Jake, a clever inventor who could fix anything with spare parts. Together, they rented an old warehouse outside Chicago and turned it into their headquarters. They called themselves Project Horizon. Their goal was simple: turn Alan's dream into reality, no matter how difficult it seemed. They knew the road ahead would be tough, but they also knew that sometimes the best ideas come from the unlikeliest places, even from what others called junk. And so, with determination burning in their hearts, the team got to work. Little did they know their journey was just beginning, and it would change the world forever. Document: Laughed at for our junk. Humanity created a Dyson sphere. Part 2. After the disastrous conference, Alan Carter and Emily Dawson were determined to prove everyone wrong. They knew their idea was bold, but they also believed it could work if given a chance. The warehouse outside Chicago became their base of operations, a place where dreams met hard work. It wasn't fancy. The walls were cracked, the floor was dusty, and the air smelled faintly of oil and metal. But to Alan and his team, it felt like home. The first step was designing the blueprint for the Dyson sphere. This was no small task. A structure that would surround the sun and capture its energy had never been attempted before. Every detail mattered, from how the pieces would fit together to how they would transport materials from Earth's orbit. Alan spent long nights, hunched over his desk, sketching diagrams and running calculations. His handwriting filled page after page with numbers and notes, some scribbled so quickly they were barely legible. Emily focused on logistics. She made lists of everything they'd need: tools, computers, drones, and more. She also reached out to suppliers trying to find affordable materials. Money was tight. They didn't have corporate sponsors or government funding. Everything they did had to be done on a shoestring budget. Sometimes Emily joked that they were running the world's most underfunded space program. Meanwhile, Ryan worked on repairing old equipment. He scoured junkyards and online auctions for parts, bringing back rusty gears, broken motors, and outdated circuit boards. To him, nothing was truly useless. With enough skill and creativity, even the most damaged items could be repurposed. Jake joined him in this effort, using his knack for invention to turn scraps into functional machines. Together, they built early prototypes of robotic drones designed to collect and assemble space junk. Samantha, the youngest member of the team, took charge of developing an artificial intelligence system. She named it Aura, short for Autonomous, Unified Recycling Assistant. Aura's job would be to identify and sort debris in space, making sure each piece was used efficiently. Samantha spent countless hours coding, testing, and tweaking the program. Her laptop became her constant companion, glowing late into the night as she worked to perfect Aura's algorithms. Despite their progress, doubts lingered. Not everyone believed in what they were doing. Some people thought Project Horizon was a waste of time, while others dismissed it outright. Even within the team, there were moments of frustration. One evening, after yet another failed drone test, Jake threw up his hands in exasperation. "This is impossible," he said. "We're trying to build something that shouldn't exist." Alan looked at him calmly. "Everything seems impossible until it's done," he replied. Those words became a kind of mantra for the group, reminding them why they started in the first place. To raise awareness and hopefully some money, the team decided to share their journey online. They created videos showing their experiments, explained the science behind the Dyson sphere, and asked for donations. At first, responses were mixed. Some viewers called them crazy, echoing the laughter from the conference. But others were fascinated. Amateur space enthusiasts, teachers, and curious kids sent messages of encouragement. Slowly, contributions began trickling in. A retired engineer donated $500. A high school class raised $200 by hosting a bake sale. Every dollar counted. One day, a man named Daniel Harper reached out to them. Daniel was a billionaire who had made his fortune in tech startups. He had seen one of their videos and wanted to meet them. When he arrived at the warehouse, he was surprised by what he found. The team looked exhausted, dark circles under their eyes, clothes covered in grease, but they radiated passion. Alan gave a presentation, explaining their vision and showing their progress so far. Daniel listened intently. When Alan finished, he smiled. "You know," he said, "most people think big ideas are too risky, but I've always believed in taking risks. Count me in." He offered to fund the launch of their first mission, providing a modified rocket capable of carrying their drones into orbit. It was the break they desperately needed. With Daniel's support, the team accelerated their efforts. They refined their designs, tested their equipment, and prepared for the biggest chaw. Document: Laughed at for our junk. Humanity created a Dyson sphere. Part 3. The launch of the drones was a success. The rocket carrying them soared into space, leaving behind a trail of fire and smoke. As it disappeared into the sky, the team watched in silence, their hearts pounding with excitement and fear. They had done it. They had sent their first mission into orbit. But the real challenge was just beginning. Once the drones reached space, they separated from the rocket and spread out. Their job was to collect space junk and start assembling the framework for the Dyson sphere. Each drone was equipped with cameras, sensors, and robotic arms, designed to grab pieces of debris and weld them together. Samantha's AI system, Aura, guided them, analyzing data in real time to ensure everything went smoothly. At first, things seemed to be going well. The drones moved quickly, collecting chunks of metal and broken satellites. Back at the warehouse, the team monitored their progress on screens filled with live footage and data streams. Alan sat closest to the monitors, his eyes glued to the images of the drones working in the vast emptiness of space. Emily stood nearby, ready to step in if anything went wrong. Ryan and Jake hovered over their tools, prepared to fix any issues that might arise. Samantha typed furiously on her laptop, adjusting Aura's algorithms as needed. But then, disaster struck. One of the drones malfunctioned. Instead of grabbing a piece of space junk, it collided with a satellite. The impact sent shards of metal flying in all directions. Alarms blared in the warehouse as warning messages flashed across the screens. Everyone froze for a moment, unsure of what to do. "What happened?" Emily asked, her voice tight with worry. "It hit something," Alan replied, pointing to the screen. "Look, there's debris everywhere." Samantha leaned closer to her laptop, her fingers flying over the keyboard. "Aura didn't predict this," she said. "There must have been an error in the sensor readings." The collision caused chaos. Fragments of the destroyed satellite drifted dangerously close to other objects in orbit, including active communication satellites. Within hours, news outlets reported widespread disruptions in global communications. Phones stopped working. Internet connections failed. People around the world panicked as they realized how much they relied on these systems. Back at the warehouse, the team braced themselves for the fallout. Governments and corporations demanded answers. Who was responsible for the damage? Why? Hadn't they considered the risks? Laura Bennett, the physicist who had criticized Alan at the conference, appeared on television to condemn the project. "This is exactly why we warned against such reckless experiments," she said. "They've endangered not only their own mission, but also critical infrastructure." The pressure mounted. Lawyers contacted the team, threatening lawsuits. Politicians called for an immediate halt to the project. Even some of their supporters began to doubt whether Project Horizon was worth the trouble. For days, the team faced relentless criticism and scrutiny. Every decision they had made was questioned. Every mistake was magnified. Alan felt the weight of it all. He spent sleepless nights staring at the ceiling, replaying the events in his mind. Had he pushed too hard? Was he wrong to think they could pull this off? Emily noticed his despair and tried to lift his spirits. "We knew this wouldn't be easy," she told him one evening. "But giving up now won't solve anything. We have to keep going." With Emily's encouragement, Alan decided to fight back. He called a press conference, inviting reporters to hear their side of the story. Standing in front of a crowd of Skeptical journalists, he admitted the mistake but emphasized the importance of their mission. "Yes, we made an error," he said, "but shutting us down won't fix the problem. What will fix it is finding a way to power our planet without destroying it. That's what we're trying to do." He went on to explain the science behind the Dyson sphere and how it could transform life on Earth. He shared videos of the drones working in space, showing how they were already turning trash into something useful. His passion was undeniable, and for the first time, some people started to listen. To prove they could prevent future accidents, Samantha upgraded Aura's programming. She added new features that allowed the AI to detect potential collisions before they happened. Jake worked on reinforcing the drone's robotic arms, making them stronger and more precise. Together, they implemented stricter safety protocols to minimize risks. As weeks passed, public opinion began to shift. Many people realized that the benefits of the Dyson sphere outweighed the challenges. Social media buzzed with debates about the project, and support grew among ordinary citizens. Kids drew pictures of the glowing sphere surrounding the sun. Teachers used it as an example in science classes. Even some critics softened their stance, acknowledging that humanity needed bold ideas to survive. One day, a letter arrived at the warehouse. It was from Daniel Harper, the billionaire who had funded the launch. In it, he praised the team for their resilience and promised continued support. "You've shown the world what determination looks like," he wrote. "Keep pushing forward." Encouraged by the renewed support, the team got back to work. They fixed the damaged drones and launched new ones to replace those lost in the accident. Slowly but surely, they resumed construction of the Dyson sphere. The process was slow and painstaking, but every piece of space junk they collected brought them closer to their goal. One evening, as the sun set outside the warehouse, Alan looked at his team. They were tired but determined, their faces lit by the glow of computer screens. Despite everything they had been through, the ridicule, the failures, the setbacks, they refused to give up. And in that moment, Alan knew they would succeed. The dream of creating a Dyson sphere was no longer just his. It belonged to all of them. Document, laughed at for our junk. Humanity created a Dyson sphere, Part 4. As the weeks turned into months, Project Horizon faced new challenges that tested the team's resolve. The initial excitement of their first launch had faded, replaced by the harsh realities of working in space. Every day brought a fresh problem to solve, and every solution seemed to lead to another obstacle. But despite the difficulties, the team refused to give up. One of the biggest hurdles was the environment itself. Space was unpredictable. Solar flares erupted without warning, sending bursts of radiation that damaged the drone's sensitive electronics. Temperatures swung wildly between scorching heat and freezing cold, causing parts to expand and contract in ways they hadn't anticipated. Even tiny micrometeoroids posed a threat, capable of punching holes through the drone's thin metal frames. Samantha spent countless hours updating Aura's programming to adapt to these conditions. She taught the AI to predict solar activity and adjust the drone's positions accordingly. If a flare was detected, Aura would order the drones to move behind larger pieces of debris for protection. For temperature extremes, she developed new insulation techniques using materials salvaged from old satellites. It wasn't perfect, but it kept the drones operational longer than anyone expected. Meanwhile, Jake focused on improving the drone's durability. He experimented with different alloys, mixing metals scavenged from space junk to create stronger components. Each new design was more resistant to wear and tear, though it took several tries to get it right. Ryan helped him test the prototypes, running simulations to see how they would hold up under stress. Their teamwork paid off when the upgraded drones proved far more reliable than the originals. But technical problems weren't the only thing weighing on the team. Tensions began to rise as exhaustion set in. Long hours and constant pressure took their toll. Arguments broke out over small decisions, how to allocate resources, which tasks should take priority, even whose turn it was to clean the coffee maker. Emily tried to keep everyone calm, reminding them that they were all on the same side. Still, the strain showed on their faces. Alan felt the burden most heavily. As the leader of the project, he carried the weight of responsibility for everything that happened. When something went wrong, people looked to him for answers. He often stayed late at the warehouse, poring over data or tinkering with equipment long after everyone else had gone home. His dedication inspired the team, but it also worried them. Emily noticed dark circles under his eyes and urged him to rest, but he brushed her off. "There's too much to do," he said. "We can't afford to slow down." The political pressure didn't help either. Governments around the world were divided about whether to support the project. Some leaders saw the potential benefits of the Dyson sphere and wanted to back it fully. Others were hesitant, fearing the risks outweighed the rewards. Powerful energy companies lobbied against the project, claiming it threatened their profits. They spread misinformation, calling the sphere a dangerous experiment that could destabilize Earth's orbit or harm other nations. Laura Bennett, who had once mocked Alan's idea, now became one of its fiercest opponents. She appeared on news shows and wrote opinion pieces warning of the dangers. "This isn't just about science," she argued. "It's about ethics. Who decides what happens to our planet? What happens if something goes wrong?" Her words struck a nerve with many people. Protests sprang up outside government buildings, demanding stricter regulations on space exploration. Conspiracy theories spread online, accusing Project Horizon of secretly planning to document, laughed at for our junk. Humanity created a Dyson sphere. Part 5. Months passed, and the team at Project Horizon worked tirelessly to bring their vision closer to reality. The framework of the Dyson sphere was growing steadily, piece by piece in orbit around the sun. Each new section added brought them one step closer to capturing the sun's energy and solving Earth's energy crisis. But just as things seemed to be going smoothly, a new challenge emerged, one that threatened to undo all their hard work. It started with small issues. Supplies began arriving late or not at all. Tools ordered from manufacturers disappeared during shipping. At first, the team didn't think much of it. They figured it was just bad luck or logistical errors. But then, something worse happened. One of their supply shipments, crucial components needed to repair damaged drones, was intercepted and stolen before it even reached the warehouse. The theft left them stranded, unable to fix the drones already in space. Jake was furious. "This isn't a coincidence," he said, pacing back and forth in the warehouse. "Someone's deliberately trying to sabotage us." Alan agreed. He had suspected for a while that powerful energy companies might try to stop them. These corporations relied on fossil fuels and outdated power grids to make money. A Dyson sphere that provided free, unlimited energy would destroy their profits overnight. It made sense that they'd do anything to protect their interests, even sabotage. Emily suggested looking into who might be behind the attacks. She reviewed financial records and supplier contracts, searching for clues. Samantha used Aura to analyze patterns in the missing shipments, cross-referencing data to identify suspicious activity. Ryan, meanwhile, kept an eye on security cameras around the warehouse, worried about break-ins. Their suspicions deepened when they discovered evidence of corporate espionage. Someone within the team had leaked classified information about their operations to a rival company. Suspicion immediately fell on Ryan. He had been struggling financially, taking odd jobs on the side to make ends meet. When confronted, he admitted to accepting money for unrelated consulting work, but swore he hadn't shared any secrets about Project Horizon. "I didn't betray you," Ryan insisted, his voice shaking. "I wouldn't do that. This project means everything to me." Though cleared of direct involvement, Ryan resigned anyway. He felt too guilty to stay, knowing his actions had raised doubts among the team. His departure hit everyone hard. Despite his flaws, Ryan had been a valuable member, and losing him left a void no one could easily fill. Without Ryan, the team had to adapt quickly. Emily stepped up to take over his role, managing logistics and coordinating repairs. She worked long hours, often staying up late to ensure everything ran smoothly. Jake focused on building spare parts ahead of time, anticipating future shortages. Alan threw himself into planning, determined to keep the project moving forward. Despite the setbacks, to protect themselves, they implemented tighter security measures. Cameras were installed around the warehouse, and access to sensitive information was restricted. Samantha enhanced Aura's encryption protocols, making it harder for outsiders to hack into their systems. They also reached out to Daniel Harper, the billionaire who had supported them from the beginning, asking for additional funding to cover losses caused by the sabotage. Daniel responded quickly, sending both money and resources. More importantly, he offered advice. "You're not just fighting physics," he told Alan during a phone call. "You're fighting greed. Don't let them win." With Daniel's help, the team managed to recover from the sabotage attempts. Repairs resumed and the drones returned to work in space. Progress slowed but didn't stop. Every day, more pieces of space junk were collected and welded into place, expanding the framework of the Dyson sphere. Then came the breakthrough they had been waiting for. After years of effort, the first section of the sphere became operational. It successfully captured a fraction of the sun's energy and beamed it back to Earth via microwaves. Cities across the globe lit up as the clean, free energy flowed into power grids. Factories reopened. Homes that had gone dark for months were illuminated again. For the first time in decades, humanity had access to more energy than it needed. News of the achievement spread like wildfire. Social media exploded, with posts celebrating the milestone. People danced in the streets cheering for Project Horizon. Even skeptics who had once laughed at Alan's idea now praised the team's ingenuity. Laura Bennett appeared on television to congratulate them, though her words sounded reluctant. "They've proven me wrong," she admitted. "The Dyson sphere is not only possible, it's transformative." Governments and corporations that had opposed the project scrambled to align themselves with its success. Politicians praised Alan and his team as heroes. Energy companies, desperate to save face, claimed they had secretly supported the project all along. The same people who had mocked and sabotaged them were now trying to take credit. But Alan wasn't interested in fame or recognition. He cared only about what the Dyson sphere could do for humanity. During a live broadcast, he gave a heartfelt speech, thanking everyone who had believed in their mission. "This isn't our victory," he said. "It belongs to all of you. To every person who refused to give up hope. Together, we've shown that even the wildest dreams can come true if we work together." His words resonated deeply. Millions watched the broadcast, inspired by the story of a small group of misfits who had dared to dream big. Teachers used it as an example in classrooms. Artists painted murals of the glowing sphere surrounding the sun. Even children played games pretending to build their own Dyson spheres. As the celebration continued, Alan reflected on how far they had come. From being laughed at for proposing to use junk to save humanity, they had created something truly extraordinary. The journey hadn't been easy. There had been failures, betrayals, and moments of doubt, but they had persevered. And through their perseverance, they had changed the world. In the warehouse, the remaining members of the team gathered to mark the occasion. Emily brought snacks, and Jake plugged in a portable speaker to play music. For the first time in years, they allowed themselves to relax and enjoy the moment. As they laughed and talked, Alan looked around at his friends, the people who had stood by him through thick and thin. "We did it," he said quietly, raising a glass of soda. "Against all odds, we actually did it." Emily smiled, her eyes shining. "And this is just the beginning." Outside, the night sky stretched endlessly above them, dotted with stars. Somewhere out there, the Dyson sphere glowed faintly, a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. What had once been dismissed as impossible had become a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest times, humanity could find a way to shine. Document. Laughed at for our junk. Humanity created a Dyson sphere, Part 6. The success of the first section of the Dyson sphere brought a wave of excitement and relief to Project Horizon. For the first time in years, the team felt like they could breathe. The energy crisis that had plagued Earth was finally easing, and cities around the world were coming back to life. But despite the celebrations, Alan knew their work wasn't done. There was still much more to build before the sphere could reach its full potential. With renewed confidence, the team focused on completing the second phase of construction. This stage would expand the sphere significantly, increasing its energy output and ensuring stability. It required precision and coordination. Every piece of space junk had to be collected, sorted, and assembled perfectly. Mistakes could lead to catastrophic failures, and no one wanted to risk undoing all their progress. To speed up the process, Samantha upgraded Aura's capabilities. She added new features that allowed the AI to predict structural weaknesses and suggest improvements. Aura became more than just a tool. It was like a member of the team, working tirelessly to ensure everything ran smoothly. Jake built additional drones, each one faster and stronger than the last. Emily coordinated the logistics, making sure supplies arrived on time and resources were used efficiently. But as the project grew larger, so did the risks. One day, while monitoring the drones in orbit, Samantha noticed something alarming. Aura detected unusual activity near the construction site. Several unidentified objects were moving toward the sphere at high speeds. At first, they thought it might be stray debris, but closer inspection revealed something far more dangerous. It was a group of corporate-backed mercenaries. These mercenaries had been hired by powerful energy companies desperate to stop the project. Their mission was simple: destroy the Dyson sphere before it rendered fossil fuels obsolete. Armed with advanced weapons and technology, they launched an attack on the drones, attempting to dismantle the framework. The news hit the team like a punch to the gut. They had known powerful corporations might try to sabotage them, but they hadn't expected an outright assault. Panic set in as they watched live footage of the mercenaries firing lasers and explosives at the drones. Pieces of the partially built sphere broke apart and drifted into space. It was chaos. "We can't let them win," Alan said firmly, his voice cutting through the tension in the warehouse. "If we lose this, we'll never get another chance." Emily nodded, her mind racing. "We need to protect the drones. If we can disable the mercenaries' ships, we might be able to hold them off." Jake sprang into a document. Laughed at for our junk. Humanity created a Dyson sphere, Part 7. The final stages of the Dyson sphere's construction were both thrilling and nerve-wracking. The team worked around the clock, knowing they were on the verge of completing something that would change the world forever. Alan, orbiting near the sun, coordinated with Emily and the rest of the team back on Earth to ensure every detail was perfect. The sphere was massive now, glowing faintly in the sunlight as it grew closer to completion. It was beautiful and fragile. One wrong move could undo years of effort. Despite their earlier victory against the mercenaries, the threat of sabotage still loomed. Powerful energy companies hadn't given up. They continued plotting ways to stop the project, hiring hackers to target Aura's systems and spreading misinformation to turn public opinion against Project Horizon. Laura Bennett, once their harshest critic, became an unexpected ally in this fight. After seeing the benefits of the Dyson sphere firsthand, she publicly denounced the corporation's actions, calling them greedy and short-sighted. Her words carried weight, helping to sway public support back in favor of the project. Still, the team couldn't afford to let their guard down. Samantha worked tirelessly to strengthen Aura's defenses, creating firewalls so advanced that even the best hackers struggled to breach them. Jake and Ryan focused on reinforcing the drones, adding extra layers of protection to shield them from future attacks. Emily managed logistics, ensuring everyone had what they needed to keep moving forward. Every member of the team played a crucial role, and their unity made them stronger than ever. As the days passed, the sphere took its final shape. The last pieces of space junk were collected and welded into place, forming a seamless ring around the sun. It was breathtaking, a shimmering halo of metal and light, capturing the sun's energy and beaming it back to Earth. Cities across the globe thrived on this clean, limitless power. Factories ran non-stop. Homes stayed warm and lit. Entire ecosystems began recovering as humanity shifted away from polluting fossil fuels. The transformation was nothing short of miraculous. But finishing the Dyson sphere wasn't just about technology. It was about proving that humanity could come together to solve its biggest problems. At the warehouse, the team gathered to watch the final moments of construction. On the screens, they saw the last drone weld the final piece into place. For a moment, there was silence. Then cheers erupted, filling the room with joy and relief. Tears streamed down faces as years of hard work finally paid off. Alan, watching from space, felt a surge of pride. He looked out at the completed sphere, its surface gleaming like a second sun. "We did it," he whispered to himself. Against all odds, they had turned a ridiculed idea into reality. He sent a message back to Earth. "It's done, the Dyson sphere is complete." Back at the warehouse, the team celebrated. Emily brought out snacks and drinks, and Jake plugged in a speaker to play music. For the first time in years, they allowed themselves to relax and enjoy the moment. They laughed, hugged, and shared stories of the journey that had brought them here. Each of them had sacrificed so much, but none of them regretted it. Together, they had achieved something truly extraordinary. Few days later, Alan returned to Earth. His arrival was met with fanfare unlike anything the team had experienced before. Reporters, scientists, and ordinary citizens lined the streets outside the warehouse, eager to catch a glimpse of the man who had helped build humanity's greatest achievement. When Alan stepped out of the spacecraft, he was greeted with applause. Emily rushed to hug him, her eyes shining with happiness. "Welcome home," she said. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of interviews, speeches, and ceremonies. Governments awarded the team medals and honors, recognizing their contributions to humanity. Schools invited them to speak to students, inspiring the next generation of scientists and engineers. Even Laura Bennett attended one of these events, shaking Alan's hand and offering genuine respect. "You proved me wrong," she admitted, "and I'm glad you did." Despite the fame, the team remained humble. They knew the real heroes weren't just them. It was everyone who had believed in their vision. From the donors who contributed small amounts to the teachers who taught kids about the project, millions of people had played a part in making the Dyson sphere a reality. As life slowly returned to normal, each member of the team reflected on what the project had meant to them. Alan retired from active research, choosing instead to write books and mentor young scientists. He wanted to inspire others to dream big and tackle the world's toughest challenges. Emily continued leading efforts to maintain and improve the Dyson sphere, ensuring it operated safely and sustainably. Samantha expanded Aura's capabilities, exploring new ways artificial intelligence could benefit humanity. Jake opened a workshop where he taught people how to repurpose old materials into useful tools. And Ryan, though no longer officially part of the team, stayed involved remotely, contributing designs for maintenance equipment. The impact of the Dyson sphere went far beyond solving Earth's energy crisis. It sparked a golden age of innovation, transforming industries and improving lives in countless ways. Advances in medicine, transportation, and technology spread rapidly, benefiting people all over the world. Poverty rates dropped as affordable, energy-powered communities that had long been neglected. Ecosystems damaged by climate change began healing, thanks to reduced pollution and restored balance. One evening, months after the sphere's completion, the team reunited at the warehouse. It was quieter now, without the constant hum of machines and activity, but it still felt like home. They sat together, sharing memories of their journey. Alan smiled as he looked around at his friends. "Remember when we thought this was impossible?" he asked. Emily laughed. "How could I forget? Everyone laughed at us. And now look at us," Jake added. "We're legends." They spent hours talking and reminiscing, savoring the bond they had formed through years of struggle and triumph. As the night wore on, they stepped outside to gaze at the stars. High above them, the Dyson sphere glowed faintly, a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. What had once been dismissed as laughable junk had become a beacon of hope, a reminder that even the wildest dreams could come true if people dared to believe in them. In that moment, surrounded by the people who had stood by him through thick and thin, Alan felt a deep sense of peace. They had changed the world, not because they were extraordinary, but because they refused to give up. And as they stood there under the vast, endless sky, they knew their legacy would endure for generations to come. Document, laughed at for our junk. Humanity created a Dyson sphere. Part 8. Years passed, and the world transformed in ways no one could have imagined. The Dyson sphere became more than just a source of energy. It became a symbol of hope and human potential. Earth entered a golden age of progress, driven by the limitless power that now flowed into every corner of the planet. Cities once plagued by blackouts thrived with clean, reliable electricity. Factories operated without pollution, producing goods faster and more efficiently than ever before. Even remote villages, long forgotten by modern civilization, gained access to light, heat, and technology. The effects rippled outward, touching every aspect of life. Advances in medicine saved millions. Diseases that had once been incurable were eradicated thanks to breakthroughs in research powered by abundant energy. Farmers used advanced tools to grow food sustainably, ending hunger in many parts of the world. Forests and oceans began to heal as humanity shifted away from destructive practices. The air grew cleaner, the skies clearer. For the first time in centuries, the planet felt alive again, but perhaps the greatest change was in people themselves. The success of the Dyson sphere reminded humanity of what it could achieve when it worked together. Nations that had once fought over resources found common ground in their shared future. Scientists collaborated across borders, sharing knowledge and ideas freely. Ordinary citizens took pride in knowing they had played a part in creating something so monumental. The spirit of unity spread like wildfire, inspiring generations to dream bigger and aim higher. For Alan Carter and his team, life after the project was quieter but no less meaningful. Alan spent his days writing books and giving lectures, sharing the story of Project Horizon with anyone who would listen. He traveled the world, visiting schools and universities, encouraging young minds to pursue science and innovation. His message was simple. No dream is too big if you're willing to fight for it. To those who had once laughed at his idea, he offered only kindness. We all doubted at first, he would say. But doubt isn't the enemy. It's what pushes us to prove ourselves. Emily Dawson dedicated herself to maintaining the Dyson sphere, ensuring it remained safe and sustainable for centuries to come. She led a team of engineers and scientists who monitored its operations day and night. Under her guidance, new technologies were developed to improve the sphere's efficiency and durability. Her work earned her widespread respect, though she remained humble. "This isn't about me," she often said. "It's about making sure we leave a better world for our children." Samantha continued expanding Aura's capabilities, pushing the boundaries of artificial intelligence. What had started as a tool to sort space junk evolved into a system capable